a guy that had a Bigfoot sighting up in this area. His name's Matt. And he's taking us to the part of Monte Cristo where he had his Bigfoot sighting. He's up ahead in the white Jeep. And we got Derek. Derek, he's driving.
It's perfect timing to start in. Right up here, as soon as we got to the top of the mountain. It's a beautiful view. I always love it when we just cross the top of this. This is just a beautiful, beautiful place.
Matt told me about his Bigfoot sighting about a year ago and gave me good directions to it.
It was down on this first switchback, so I don't know if you want to walk down it or walk back up.
Okay, it's up to you, whatever you think works best. Well,
I think maybe walk back up so you can just find down there and then park. So I know it's only like it's really tight up there to get in. So we'll go down and see if we walk back up.
okay, we can always come back to this if we.
Sounds good.
All right. I knew we were getting close to the spot by where he described it. So we started filming, and lo and behold, I was right. I spend a lot of time up here Bigfoot, and I know this area really well. As a matter of fact, it's in our backyards. We all of us in RMS will know it really well. Yeah, we live less than 50 miles from where we are currently.
That easily.
Probably less, yeah.
Probably 30.
So it would have
This
been
is where it
right
happened.
here.
And you know what? Does not surprise me too at all. Right in this area. In fact, I've actually ran across quite a few moose. Whole family. I've seen a big old bull moose that was just off here on the side. Just last time I was back down in here. Yeah, but he said it was that first switchback. That would have been back there.
Yeah, he just says real narrow. We were trying to figure out where to park.
Yeah, it probably would have been better to park up top and walk down 100 yards than drive to the bottom and walk back up 1.5 miles. Just saying.
Yeah, I think we're probably going to go back to where we first talked to him and hike down to it from there.
That is, if it was that first switchback that he was talking about. Oh, he wasn't too far back in here.
No.
I mean, you just barely get out of private property.
Yep. He's the 7th person that I can now say that I know personally, because I've physically met him, that has saw Bigfoot on top of this very mountain. And then if you spread out a little bit further, there's another dozen in the surrounding areas.
A lot closer if you stay up top.
Yeah.
Especially if it is that first switchback. Is 100 yards or 1.5 miles. Go figure.
We were looking for the best place to park as close as we can get to his Bigfoot sighting. His Bigfoot sighting happened while he was actually driving on this road. Wasn't out hiking or camping. But over half the Bigfoot sightings reported are from the seat of your car. That's why we always have a dash camera going, so that we don't miss 50% of the Bigfoot sightings if we ever have one.
In any case, it's done very well for us picking up bobcat or mountain lion crossings and other stuff. So the fact of even having that, and your most recently, meteor, right?
Yeah.
Because of that.
Yeah, we didn't have that. We wouldn't have caught that meteor dropping down next to Skinwalker Ranch.
Skinwalker.
Yeah, it was an awesome meteor. I'm 99.9% sure that's what it is. But the cool thing is where we were at when it happened, the famous Skinwalker Ranch, and a fireball's dropping down into Indian Canyon. I believe this is the bend that he saw the Bigfoot right here. Is
in case a four-wheeler comes, you can go.
I was just telling Matt that I know 7 people personally that have saw Bigfoot up here, including Derek's son. And so, it's just a smorgasbord of Bigfoot sightings on top of this mountain. And he's taking us down to a spot where he had a sighting.
Yeah, the first time I had one, I think I was probably about 17. It wasn't really a sighting, it was just the feel of the presence. And I didn't recognize what it was until I started doing more research, started getting into it more. I was deer hunting with a buddy of mine, and we just walked into the trees probably about 200-300 yards, and I was more or less spotting for him and brushing for him. And I'm sitting there waiting, and everything just kind of goes quiet, and I feel like something's behind me. So I'm just standing there, and I'm halfway thinking that it's my buddy kind of sneaking up on me because he's bow hunting, he's all in camo. And then also thinking that maybe there's like a deer or a moose or something behind me. And I can see something out of the corner of my eye moving, and then when I finally get the gumption to turn around, because I didn't want it to turn around and spook a moose or spook something and have it charge me, it was gone. There was nothing there, everything, like birds started chirping again, and it just like nothing had actually happened. But when I was standing, it's probably about a good, 5 minutes that I felt like there was something behind me. When I turned around, nothing was there. And then my buddy come out of the woods 100 yards in front of me. So I knew it wasn't him at that point. So
that's that spot that over there by the Lambs Canyon.
Yeah, so
I've gotten the creeps in that spot before.
That's where my daddy's pulled a lot of deer out of there, and so that's where I took my friend to go, because my dad's told me about a lot of deer he's pulled out of there, and a lot of families pulled deer out of there. So I went there and been in there. That's the first time I've actually felt something, or like I thought it was deer. And then when I started doing more research and hearing people talk about how the woods go silent, that's why I'm not 100% sure if it was or what it was, but hearing everybody else's stories and talking about everything, it kind of sounds like it might have been that.
Made it to the spot that he saw Bigfoot. How long ago?
It was about 2004.
5 years before I was born.
All right.
It's about 2004, I think, probably about, April or May. And around there was the snow had just barely come off, I think, just for you to get in here. But,
good year then.
Yeah. And it was probably about 10:30, 11. I was dating this girl at the time, and I was in a Bronco at the time, and I come around the corner here, high beams on, come around the corner.
Yeah, and it's a hairpin turn right here.
So as I come around the corner, my headlights came across it, and it was standing next to the tree where it's got that double pine that splits. So at the time, this road wasn't there, and it was standing right next to it, wasn't trying to hide. Come around the corner, and just my headlights passed it. I seen everything. It's still clear as day in my mind today. And I come up the road, and I still kind of playing in my mind, like, did I just see what I just seen?
Yeah, you're trying to digest it.
And so I stopped because I was gonna back up. And the girl I was dating at the time, this is what actually made it so that it was actually real, that I knew what I seen. Because I stopped, and before I even said anything, I went to go put it in reverse and come back down. She said, "Please keep going." And so at that point, I knew that I seen what I seen because she seen it too. And I was like, "What'd you see? What'd you see?" And I'm backing back down the hill, and she's like, and she kind of almost starts breaking down into tears. Just keep going, just keep going. So I decided to keep going. I went up the hill, and we continued on out. And she was so terrified that she wanted me to drive faster. And by the time I actually got going, I was doing about, I don't know, 50, 60 miles an hour up out of the bottom of here. Got up out of here, about out of the bottom. But from what it's like almost burned into my memory exactly what I seen.
When you guys backed up and come back, was it still there?
I didn't get back far enough. I think I only went about 10, 20 feet. So I stopped about where the road starts to narrow. This is about where I stopped, and I started backing up. And probably about another 10 feet is where she started kind of panicking a little bit more, and then I ended up just leaving.
Yeah, so she knew that it was a monster just come to life in front of her eyes. That's how most people feel about it, is what, you know, your parents tell you that there's no monsters. I'm not saying Bigfoot's a monster, but when you see one, most people that see one, all of a sudden a monster just come to life, you know? And
so, yeah, like I got goosebumps now talking about it. Yeah, it's
up between the two trees, and he was and how tall do you estimate he may have been?
So you see, you got the ground, and it comes up to those the boughs that come off a little bit, and then you got the next spot where it's kind of empty. There's nothing for, I don't know, is it about 3-4 feet, and then you got boughs again. So his head was probably about the top of those boughs where there's the gap. And
do you want to walk up there again, Derek?
Yeah, I can.
Well, let's walk just a little closer. There's game here. There's elk, and right next to the elk is deer.
Oh, they're right next to each other.
Yeah.
I don't want to see that too often. Oh, no, yeah, it was, so the boughs that are to your left.
So I was on the, basically it was over here.
Yeah. So he's about right there. And so you got those boughs there, and then the ones above it that go up where that gap is, that's about where his head was.
Well, you're looking at about another 15 years growth, 13 years growth. Because what you're looking at there, 15 feet right now.
So I remember him being about 10 feet. So roughly that's what it looked like if I can gauge it correctly. But he was probably, well, if that's the growth, so he was probably about midway from that, considering growth. I didn't take that in consideration. So he's
2004.
Yeah. So he's probably about midway between that gap.
That's got a big animal.
So we're talking about close to double your height?
Just at least, probably. And, you know, I can't vouch for 2004, but you got a game trail that comes right through here, right through there, and that way.
And this little road right here didn't exist back then?
No.
This was just the normal foliage, and as a matter of fact, they've blocked off this road to where nobody can drive on it anymore, so it'll be grown over in another 10 years.
We see that this is pretty traveled.
And it was, when I come across him, my headlights hit him, didn't phase him at all, didn't blink, nothing. And he had the look on his face like he knew I was here, he didn't like me here. And the best way that I can describe it to anybody, I think I even told you about it, it looked like Clint Eastwood, like, get off my lawn. Like he was pissed off that I was here. And he knew I was here, wasn't scared of my presence, nothing. You know, at the time I had, you know, it was a 96 Bronco, straight pipe, 3-inch exhaust, loud as shit. And I wasn't nice coming up out of the bottom, you know.
So he heard you rumbling big time.
Yeah. I was coming up out of here. He knew I was here.
A long way off.
Oh yeah, it echoes up through these mountains, and it had no effect on him at all.
Animals become desensitized to vehicles. You know, a lot of animals don't see him as danger at all unless they've been shot at from one.
Try to get up here at least once a year, camping.
Your
whatever.
Your other experience, it doesn't sound like your other one was a sighting, but it was possibly Bigfoot related, is less than 10 miles from here.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you consider this place like the same as us, as our backyard.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it is my backyard.
We've spent all of our lives coming up here at least once or twice a year.
Yeah.
This is where my dad used to cut firewood every year. We'd come up here and camp, and I see movement back there, you guys. It's just a branch waving.
Oh yeah, I see it.
Yeah, that was weird. It caught it out of the corner of my eye. It's like an animal just went through there and knocked that branch. But
I don't think that
he's talking when his headlights hit it and everything. It just stood there and did not move the whole time that they saw it. And then when he backed up to see it again, you know.
I didn't get back far enough to see if he was still there or not. But I mean, you know, who's to say if he did take off or not? But he.
You know, speculation at this point. But
Well,
I would think that he just would have just sat there and just, you know what, the moment you move, you get seen.
Yeah, that's why they're masters of camouflage. When
hence the shirt. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, a lot of people say that they just freeze and hold still, and then you're questioning because they're not moving. But that's the best way to blend in and stay blend in is not moving when you're all camoed up.
And when I hear people describe them, you know, a lot of people describe them as, you know, like Harry and the Henderson or like a ape. And when I seen him, he was, you know, he didn't have a neck, broad shoulders, rounded head. Like didn't come to a point or a cone, it didn't have a big forehead, just rounded. And his facial, it was like he was a darker, not black, but from when it looked more black, but I don't know if it's because it was the dark. It was 11:30 or 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And his facial expressions looked extremely human. Like, didn't have, you know, a turned up nose or anything, just a regular nose, but his bigger nose. And he just had no facial expressions, no hair on his face, just kind of just pissed off looking.
And my memory, I didn't have the luck of seeing a facial or anything like that, but what sticks out the most with mine wasn't necessarily like the height, more the girth, just the size of it. This thing was just huge, you know, and that's what sticks out with me. But, you know, the whole rounded head, that's more so what my visual sees as well. But again, you know, I kind of got just a silhouette of it from a light coming from behind it. So the whole front part of him was just black and just the hair.
Your headlight
just
the thing
hair.
for a minute.
So you got a frontal of him with your lights hitting on him, where I got it from behind.
It was probably a good, I don't know how long it take around that corner. I don't know. 2 to 3, maybe 5 seconds at the max is when I passed him from rounding the corner, and at the time this road wasn't here, but he took up most, like in between that, he filled up that gap between those trees, between the one on the left and the one on the right.
Just a giant.
Yeah,
Big,
just the size and everything. It just, you know, it's I hear everybody gets scared and everything, like, you know, the girl I was dating, she was terrified. I was excited. I was ecstatic. And, you know, I wasn't thinking about anything else except for seeing it again and to verify what I thought that I seen. But as soon as she started freaking out, I knew that I wasn't the only person that seen it. And she don't like talking about it very much. I've tried to get her to talk about it and everything, and she won't.
She just wants the memory to pass.
Yeah. So she, like, I haven't talked to her about it, or really talked to her for the past, I don't know, 6-7 years. So I don't know if she even will acknowledge it now.
Well, in my opinion, the females don't get that big, but, you know, who knows? It sounds to me like it was probably like the biggest male on the mountain. Just a giant.
Oh, yeah, it kind of did look like, now that you mention it, he's probably looked like Overwatch. Like he was standing guard. I didn't think about that until you just...
So there's a couple of sizes that people have seen up here, and my buddy Reed, he saw one that he says was 9-10 feet tall, and he saw it from his camp over by Hellcat Springs. He was camping over there, and it woke him up at night, and you know, he had to hike into where he was camping, and he was the only one there. He was by himself, and after he saw it, he had to spend the rest of the night there. There was no hiking out for him. He had to deal with it till morning.
Yeah.
Put a little perspective. We were probably another 3 miles or so back is where that campsite is that we stay at.
Yeah.
About that.
Where we get all the wood knocks.
We had about a 12-man tent that we had pitched. 4th of July night coming back, when my boy actually saw it. I was right there. I was actually building the fire, and when I got it lit up, so when he actually got his sight, the fire had just lit up, and he said, "There's a guy staring at us." But when he described what happened at the time, it was actually down on all fours. It had its hands. It was actually leaning forward, just staring at us. When the fire team was standing just
like
behind
a gorilla
the tent,
does.
like a gorilla kind of. And he was staring just off the side of it, the back side of the tent, but he was off to the side. And when he explained it, he was not only on all fours, he was my height on all fours.
Wow.
So probably the same. I mean, when you're talking about it, once it stood up, it's probably about the same height as what you're talking about here. And this is 3 years ago?
Yeah, and we found
3 years ago this happened.
on 4th of July.
And we found footprints, the whole works. And I didn't actually
those footprints
catch the
were
video.
deep.
I didn't catch an actual visual of it, but we heard it take off. I whipped out all I had on me. I'm like, sitting here, I felt like almost naked. I had my phone on me, whipped my phone out just to get the flashlight going on. Didn't have a light on me, nothing, because I had just barely pulled in the Suburban, and was just, the girls were in changing their clothes in the tent. So the girls were this close to it and just not realizing it because it was just outside the tent.
It was right outside their tent.
But
Oh my God, that's creepy.
It literally circled our entire thing, and I'm up here trying to get a visual on what the hell this was. Because initially I thought, got some crazy ass in our camp, you know what I mean? Going all the way around it, I got all the way to the back side of where the Suburban was, and just stopped dead in my tracks. In fact, got the goosebumps and the freaking hairs going up now, because once I crossed that threshold, the first thing it just hit me. I'm completely here defenseless, you know, tracking down some crazy or whatever it was at the time. And I'm chasing it down, and I got nothing to stop it other than what's sitting in a truck, and I'm kind of SOL. It froze me. I stopped and said I backed off at that time, but you could hear whatever it was took off out there, and I sat there and got his little report of what was going on. I'm like, sitting here, kid just actually had a Sasquatch sighting right in our freaking camp.
Well, you guys were camping right there because of all the Bigfoot sightings. That's why he chose to camp there.
That's why we come up here, because we've been doing this since 2008 is when we actually really put this organization together and started doing it. So, you know, we're always putting ourselves in a position. And
yeah, when we choose a place to camp, we camp where there's a group of Bigfoot sightings, and right
honestly,
up here is it.
Honestly,
that's why I like coming back here too.
This is ground zero. I mean, for Utah and Sasquatch, there is more on this mountain where we are than anywhere else.
There's 3 counties of Utah that come together right here. So when you're looking at them per county, you're like, oh, well, you know, there's an average amount of sightings, but these counties all come together, what?
I hope you enjoyed Matt's Bigfoot sighting. It was very interesting, along with some of the details of other Bigfoot sightings in this area. Keep on watching. We're going to keep on squatching.